So last night I watched The Black Spot, and this one it's called The Black Spot. I knew what was going to happen, you guys. I really knew what was going to happen, and I had to get ready for this one because if you watch the old if you watch the original It that came out, I think it came out in 2018, and I was really jacked up to go see that movie. I remember going and seeing that movie. Who did I go see that movie? I don't know. Anyway, I was really excited to go see that movie. Yeah, there was a really bad flood somewhere that year. I think it was in Texas or something. Something happened real big that year when it came out. But anyway, I was excited about seeing it. And, in the movie It, they tell you about the fireworks that killed a bunch of kids. They tell you about all the stuff that happened in Derry if you watch It. And so I was like, all week I kept sitting there saying to myself, man, this is going to be rough to go. It's going to be rough to go get through. And I ain't gonna lie, this was rough to get through. I knew exactly what I was gonna get. I knew it was gonna be kind of, I knew it was gonna be a little violent, a little grab. I mean, when they got to it opens up, man. It takes you back to 1930, something like that, and it kind of lets you know how Pennywise became the dancing clown or whatever it was. But anyway, that one woman that was looking for her father, and she keeps thinking that Pennywise is the you know is her dad or something like that. If you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I was watching this thing, man, last night, and I was supposed to actually go to bed. I was laying in bed, and I said, "All right, Vic," I said, you're gonna you're gonna go to bed. You're gonna go to bed at 9:30 and get you some sleep because I need to get my rest." And I said, "All right, I'll turn on HBO Max and watch this." Man, I watched the whole thing. I didn't go to bed till like 10:45. Still feel great. So I was a little worried there, but man, this was something else, man. But obviously, you guys know the black spot was a lot of black people that got burned alive, and it was pretty horrific. But in the movie It, that one kid that was the black kid that was in the original movie It in 2018, it showed him having visions of these fingers coming out from of these people wanting to get out, and uh, he was having visions because the It was messing with his head and stuff. But there was some graphics in this, you guys. There was some graphics in here, man. And there was a part where this dude got his head shut. He got his head shut, cut off right here, and it showed his lip moving. That was a good shot, man. But that part where all the black people was locked, when they had a standoff. So I was sitting there going like, "It's okay." They pulled out guns and they had guns. So all the townspeople, which obviously was a bunch of white people, they said, "Okay," they put the guns down. Well, all the black people was like, in the black spot, they were like, "Okay, this is because they were looking for that guy that they thought that killed those kids, and he ended up coming out and says, 'Oh, I'll give myself up,' which didn't help matters none because they knew then that he was really in there, because they didn't know he was in there at first. But then when they had that standoff and they pulled all them guns, and some of those guys were in the military, so they pulled out their guns, so it was a little standoff in there. But the townsfolk put their guns down, so they backed out, and so, they're all looking at each other, like trying to figure out what else to do, and stuff. And so when they went to go outside, they barricaded. I mean, they locked them in there. And next thing you know, they start throwing, fire bombs in there and stuff. And I was, that was rough to get through, guys. I ain't gonna lie, because uh, some of that stuff did go on back in the day, but uh, they did a good job of making it look real and all that kind of stuff. But there was a lot of so sad moments because there was kids in there too. So the one kid I liked, he ended up dying, but he saved that girl with the patch. Uh, the one guy that can see stuff, he ended up finding a hole in the ground, so he was able to get through this hole and get outside. Uh, But it I ain't gonna lie, you guys, it was rough to get through. But it was overall, it was a really good episode. I'm trying to figure what they can do with this. Now that I'm watching this, I'm trying to figure out where else can they go with this. Uh, I'll read. It says episode 7 is the black spot, and it says a vigilante attack on the black spot unlashes a long dormant force. Unlashes long dormant forces. In the aftermath, Dick helps uncover another crucial artifact. So after this all happened, it was rough to get through that part. Them little kids did a good job acting because they really looked like they were upset, and they did a good job acting like they was crying and stuff like that. It was some good acting in this. But Dick ends up knowing where this artifact was at. So, the military still wanting to get this artifact, man. But there was a lot of homage to a lot of I got some Sinner vibes. You guys remember the movie Sinners? I got some Sinner vibes off this because, uh, you know, uh, episode 6 was set in the name of the Father. So episode 6, it showed everybody in that the black spot they were jamming. But there was this lady that looked like Haley Steinfeld, looked just like her, but it wasn't Haley Steinfeld. And I said, man, they picked that up out of Sinners. And then, everybody said that, from what people that read things said, it's supposed to be some type of turtle. It's what this thing is supposed to be, some type of turtle. But so when Dick finally uncovers that crucial artifact, it was in a turtle shell. And I was like, okay, that's pretty slick. But then, the one guy that's got the son and the wife that's trying to help the guy that's a fugitive, he found out they wanted to use that thing for something else. So he pulled a gun on his comrades, and they pulled a gun on him. And then they was going to, the guy that was running that military, you know who I'm talking about, he was trying to incinerate it. But Pennywise, which is the it, was, there was a part where the Indians was saying, did you hear about the people that got, a lot of people died in that fire, and they, the Indians always sitting around in this place. They go, yeah, man. They said that's, it's terrible. And they said, but they always like, well, that's it. They said, we'll catch you guys in another 27 years because when the it thing finally. Because there was parts where he was in the fire and he was impersonating people and he was getting other people to come and hold his hand. And then the little black girl walked up to him and he was eating her face. They had some really gross stuff in here, man. But they did a good job. I mean, they know where to put the money at because there was a lot of good money shots. Especially when that one dude got that machete, man. It was that woman's husband. He was a butthead anyway, but... Whew, man, they did a good job of film. They did a good job with that. And then, but they was doing that standoff in that black spot, man, and showing them getting hit in the head. And some of them was talking and they was trying to, help somebody, and phew, their head the bullet would go through their head, and the way that the blood was spattered. They did a good job with that, but man, it was horrific to get through that black spot thing. But now we know the story of the black spot. And then I did like that they had showed, that turtle shell. But then obviously, when they got there, they said that, he says, man, he's gone. And they said, the guy that can see things, the military was like, what do you mean he's gone? He's gone. He said, he's just gone. Everything's just, once it goes into dormant, that's it. You ain't seeing him for another 27 years. So he go, man, he's gone. But then he did see it. He said, I can't take, because he had this little Indian girl he kept seeing in the, his vision was taking him to this artifact, which was pretty cool. And that's when you seen the turtle shell. And I did like that when they dug and dug and dug and it was in a turtle shell. And then, it's at it was that black crystal look with the hieroglyphics on it and stuff. It was pretty slick. But I didn't want to make this video too long ago because I told you I was going to get off this YouTube for a little bit, and I am. I'm just going to drop videos like this once in a while. I can't get into specifics. And then, after that, it showed the aftermath of them pulling the bodies out, and then uh, they were still trying to figure out. So they had to ask. So the one guy that has the wife and son in the military, his wife, the town folks thinks that he died in fire, so he's still alive. So she had to go to the Indians to help try to get him out of that area because they think he's dead. And she goes, there was a part that was kind of funny. She says, just listen, hear me out. So she takes him to the house to put on her husband's clothes. He goes, how you gonna get me out of here? She goes, we're just gonna get in the car and take off. He goes, everybody knows what I look like. She goes, no, they don't. They don't know what you look like. They just gonna think you look like. And he went like this. She goes, you're in Maine. She goes, and she went like that. He goes, oh yeah, because she goes, you just put those clothes on and you just get in the car and just sit normal. They just gonna think you're my husband because they just gonna think you're just a. It's kind of funny how they did that. There was some little things in there. The kids, though, really, man, I don't know, man. I think this whole show was pretty leveled out. And I ain't gonna lie, I knew that the black spot would be kind of rough to get through. It was really sad, and it was really rough to see those people, but it's in the book. It's in the book and it's in the movie. So if you look at the movie and you listen to the movie, when the kids was in the movie, they was talking about, there's a lot of strange things that happened. And then, when they was getting ready to go swimming, and they's like, where'd you get all this? And he's like, well, I just was doing research. He goes, back in so-and-so, there was this gang, and the town turned around, the town killed them. And then they said that they seen this entity sitting up there. And then there was these kids that died in this real bad, it was a warehouse of fireworks, and like 30 or 40 kids got killed. I noticed in this and Stranger Things has a lot to do with kids. It feeds on kids, and also it eats people. So it eats like grown people too, but it really wants kids. And then Stranger Things the same way with that. I forgot the guy's name that puts them in this thing, and he puts this stuff in them and stuff. I'm talking about Stranger Things, but I don't know, you guys. I enjoyed this, but I did say to myself, I don't know how they could do a season 2, because by doing a season 2, you would have to try to go 27 years in advance. I just don't think that's a good idea. I think you should go 27 years back. I think you could tell a better story doing 27 years back, but you need a new cast, though. Obviously you got to have another cast. And they did do bits and pieces of going back to the 1930s, and they did a real good job. Now I've heard people actually say that there's a couple episodes they didn't care for. But for the most part, man, I really enjoyed the series. And like I said, you guys, I knew what was going to go on in the black spot because it's in the book. I guess it's in the book. I never read the book, but I did watch the movie. And they covered that. There was all these people that died at the black spot. And he goes, what was the black spot? And he goes, it was a place where all these people used to go and they party, and they got, they died in the fire. And then it said these kids back at this time was killed at a fireworks thing, and like there was a ton of kids got killed in that. Then they said there was this gang back in the 30s that terrorized DERRY, and the whole town turned against them, and that made the front page news. So you had the gang, then you had the kids in the fireworks. There was a lot of kids that died in that. And then you had the black spot after that, and then so it's pretty slick how they're tying all this in, if you can stick with it. But it was rough to get through that part. I was like struggling. Especially when those kids got killed, and then just seeing those black people just getting picked off, like they locked them in there. Like them people didn't give a damn. They was like, they're cooked, man, because they was standing outside when they heard them all yelling and screaming. They was standing outside, and they was like, let's get out of here. So man, they ain't getting out of there. And one guy's like, yep, they're cooked. And I was just sitting there, like, damn, man, so yeah, it's good acting. It's rough getting through because I was looking at it like, dang, man. I said, because it makes you think. But uh, the movie, the series goes on after, there is more to it after the fire. And, they go to segments of the guys trying to dig, when they found. But when they found the artifact, the military found the artifact. And I felt some Indiana Jones vibes because it showed how the military picked it up and put it in the box, and they had the black markings on the box, and I said, man, that looks like some Indiana Jones stuff. Because if you remember when Raiders of the Lost Ark, they put it in a box, and the box had like markings at the top, and they put it in this thing, but they took that box back to the base, and then they just going to study it, and then that's when the guy knew what they was going to do, and he goes, man, this, what this thing done did to everybody and stuff. So they had a little standoff there, but everybody put their guns down and stuff. So we're waiting on episode 8 because that's the last episode. But overall, you guys, just thought I'd give you my thoughts on that. I know I'm a little all over the place, but I didn't want to really do like a 35-40 minute. I mean, I could do a 35-40 minutes and just really tell you everything, but I just overall, this is a good series. I just don't know what they could do with this. If they can write a story, a compelling story, and come up with a season 2, but go backwards, not forward. Because if they go forward, to me, they would be going into the movie that was the It movie. And I just don't think that would be right. Because if I ain't mistaken, that time that we're watching this series is based on that 27-year thing. So if you go 27 years forward, that would put you in maybe, 27 and 6. I think it was, I don't know what year that's supposed to be, but they can go forward. I think they can go forward, but I don't want them to run into the 27 years of when we seen the movie It. So that's where I'm stuck at. I think they should go backwards and go to, like I said, HBO Max got good ratings and stuff, and they decided to make a season 2. Then they need to go backwards and have a whole different cast, and and I do like that the Indians are playing an important, the Indians are playing an important role in this because they were the original people that was here in this country, and they the ones that actually dealt with this thing first before the settlers came. So they got more education on it. So I mean, you can go into that, but you can still have settlers that you could have like a series where it shows how the Indians are dealing with it, but you still have settlers in the series, so you can keep it more, integrated, so you can integrate everything together. That would be good if you go back. You can go back to the gang that was terrorizing the town and kind of go through what somebody was going through and how It was, messing with everybody and stuff. So it's pretty slick how that thing can, play with your fears. But that's about all I got, you guys. I just wanted to let you guys know. Overall, man, I'm enjoying this. Overall, I'm enjoying this. I really am. And I just thought I'd just let you know how much I enjoy this. And I knew, all week when I said this is gonna be the black spot. This is gonna be rough to get through, and it was rough. There was some touching moments in there. There was moments in there that got to me, man, especially with them kids, and especially with my favorite kid getting killed off, man. I was like, man, come on, man. But he got killed off. But this show, man, it don't hold back punches, man. That's for sure. Anyway, guys, God bless you. Take care. And like I said, I'm going to drop videos, but it's going to be like maybe once a week or something, and especially if I got something I want to talk about. But I appreciate each and every one of you, and God bless each and every one of you. And I truly mean that. And just, you know, I've been playing a lot of video games and just, watching a lot of these 500 and something movies I done collected. So, all right, we'll catch you next video. We'll see you.